All right, we're live. We're live. We're live. We're live. Yes, we are. We are live. Get situated here. There's a lot that I need to learn. Before we begin, I just want to remind everyone and welcome, number one. And it is very important that, you come on in the room. Welcome to Amplify Podcast. My name is Darrin L. Harris. I am your host. Let me go ahead and turn the camera around here. Let's see if we're situated. All right. So we got a couple of things going on. Once again, I want to welcome you here to the Amplify Podcast with Darrin L. Harris. I am Darrin L. Harris, and we're going to be talking about a whole lot of things. So I'm doing a test right now, and so if you're coming on in and you're listening, I want to thank you for all of the subscribers, all of my subscribers. I want to thank each and every one of you. I mean, all 2,000 plus subscribers, and we are getting ready to produce some great content for you. But I thought it would be important for me to come on just really quickly, at least say thank you, of course, for joining our community, because that's exactly what we are here at Amplify Podcast with Darrin L. Harris. And it's actually the social justice podcast. So we're going to be talking a lot about the issues. One of the things that was important to me as I, ran a few tests and did some things around content, I noticed that some videos were performing better than other videos. And one of our number one videos that's out there right now, and you have probably watched it, that's probably why you subscribed. And if you haven't subscribed and you're seeing this video right now, what I want to do right now is encourage you to go ahead and hit the subscribe button. Hit the subscribe button and join us for this conversation, because that's exactly what we're going to be doing. We're going to be having a conversation. We're going to have honest conversations, and we're going to give practical solutions. Hey, how you doing? Good to see you. I see people coming in right now. I want to thank you. Thank you for the love. Thank you for the love. Yes, shout out to you. And I see D Home out there. Thank you so much. Hey, good to see you. Everybody's coming in. I see you guys are coming in. So we're going to be on just for a little while here because I wanted to say thank you to all 2,000 plus subscribers. I mean, you guys are coming in. You're doing it. You're doing your thing. And I'm still in the process of developing, content for our community. And I want to really stress that this is going to be a community. That's exactly what it is. And we're going to be talking, once again, we're going to be having honest conversations. And we're not just going to be having honest conversations, but we're going to also give practical solutions. And so I'm excited about that. We're going to be going live. And so there are several different formats in which we're going to be taking as we, build our community. And I really want to stress that it's our community. This is ours. And we're going to grow this together. And we're going to be having some very difficult conversations at some point. And then there are going to be times when we're not live, and we're going to have podcasts where we're going to have guests come on and they're going to tell their story. I just believe that there is something powerful about storytelling. And so we're going to be doing a little bit of that. And then I'm going to be producing some other videos for those who are part of our community who have asked me to add value to their lives. I'm talking about individuals in the nonprofit sector, in the faith sector, those individuals who may want to increase their influence. Because here's why I'm here. I'm here to help individuals increase their influence so that they can build high performing, high impacting, and sustainable organizations that change their part of the world. Look, I know exactly what my mission is. I know exactly why this community exists. And that's why I'm investing in this community. Here's what I believe, and here's what I know. We invest in what we value. Let me say that again because that sounded so good. We invest in what we value 100% without a shadow of a doubt. And I value people. And so that is another reason why Amplify podcast with Darrin L. Harris exists, because I believe in investing in individuals, especially those individuals who have asked me to help them in their businesses, with their nonprofits, with communication, with their speaking skills, all of those things. So I found a way to add value. I found a free way to do it, and that's on YouTube. And so I've been very aggressive getting to this point, as you may have seen. And then there's some people who've asked me, how do you do that? Well, I want to talk about it right here. I'm going to give it away, right? I'm going to give you everything that I have right here. And so if there are things that, there are questions that you might have, what I want you to do is just send us a message. And you can send us a message multiple ways. But before I go any further, let me tell you, we do have a website. We have a website, and it is Amplify DLH, which is just my initials, DLH.com. Once again, that's Amplify DLH.com. And so you can leave us a message there, and that message will get to me, or you can leave it right here on YouTube. I try my best. I'll be honest with you. I try my best to read every comment under every video. But lately, we've had this explosion of individuals, and what I do know is it's about audience. Let me say this, because some people have said to me they wanted to start a YouTube channel, and I'm here to help you. I'll tell you everything I know, and I tell people all the time, look, I'm not here to gatekeep, but there is a price to get in. Let me say that again. I'm not here to gatekeep, but there is a price to get in, and that's really important, to say that and to be honest with people, because, I've invested. I've invested in this process. I've invested in my YouTube channel. I've invested in the social media. And so there are some skill sets that, in order for you to be successful, I want to help you with that. And so if that's something that you're interested in, we can talk about that here on our community. Once again, it's a community. And so we're going to be talking about a lot of things. And there are about 100 different issues that I've typed up that deal with social justice issues in America. And so we we have a whole lot to talk about. We have a whole lot to talk about. And one of the things that I say in the motto for Amplify podcast with Darrin L. Harris is, where, silence is not an option. It absolutely is not an option, especially in the day and time that we live. Silence is absolutely not an option. We have to say something. You know, every time during the holiday season, I think a lot about, just family members who have come and family members who have gone on. And one of the family members that I always think about during the holidays is my grandmother. And I thought about her this morning, even as I was getting ready for, Amplify and getting ready for this very moment. She came across my mind. And let me tell you a little story. And I want to say this too. Every story must have a point, and every point must have a story. So I don't want you to miss the point. So, interesting. A fact about Darrin L. Harris. When I was growing up, I was an introvert. Surprise. So for those of you just getting to know me, it's not a surprise. I am an introvert, but I can be extroverted when I need to be. But I wasn't, the type of child who would always play with the other kids or even go out. But I pretty much hung around my grandmother a lot, and that's pretty much why I love to cook and I love to do a lot of things. But there were times when my grandmother would have a lot of her adult friends over. And there was this one lady by the name of Miss Gloria, and she was very loud, Miss Gloria. And Miss Gloria would always, she had no filter. Let me just put it that way. Miss Gloria absolutely had no filter. And I remember being next to my grandmother. They were playing cards, they were smoking and drinking, doing their thing. And Miss Gloria had said something, I don't even know what it was. But whatever Miss Gloria said, I, as a child, was not supposed to hear whatever it was, but it caught my grandmother's attention that my grandmother, I mean, she twisted her head so fast and she looked straight into my eyes and she said, "Come here." And then, I didn't know what was going on. So I got closer to my grandmother and, I could tell that she was a little bit upset and at something Miss Gloria had said. And my grandmother, she grabbed me right underneath my arm and she began to squeeze real tight. I'll never forget this. And I couldn't even feel my poor little hands. My poor little hands were weak. And she was squeezing real tight. She looked me straight in the eyes. And my grandmother, as she was doing that, she said these words to me. Mama Harris said this. She said, "You bet not say nothing." So whatever Miss Gloria had said, I wasn't supposed to hear. And my grandmother's response to that was, "You bet not say nothing." Now, I'm making light of this story, but when I think about a lot of the community that I grew up in, that was the normal stance where people would just say, "You bet not say nothing." And consequently, it has been a part of the culture where we bet not say nothing. But when we choose not to say anything, now I'm twisting it, so I'm gonna give my grandmother a break because this is not how I believe my grandmother would feel today. Um, but when we say "you bet not say nothing," uh, lives are impacted when we don't say anything. We have a failing education system when we choose to say nothing. We have rapid crime when we choose to say nothing. We have streets with potholes when we choose to say nothing. My point here is there are a lot of people not saying anything, and there are some very tough conversations. There are conversations that we honestly need to have within our communities. In other words, we need to say something, and that's what I just wanted to point out. And so on this live, we're just coming in and just chatting with you guys. So if you're just joining us, let me take a break right now and say welcome. Welcome to the Amplified Podcast with Darrin L. Harris. And we're just doing a test run. So if you're joining us, we welcome you and thank you for subscribing. And look, if you haven't subscribed and you're just joining, here's what I want you to do. I want you to go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Go ahead and do that for me. Hit the subscribe button, and we welcome you to the Amplified Podcast with Darrin L. Harris. And so we're just doing a test, but I said while I'm testing the YouTube platform, let me go ahead and have a quick conversation for those who may pop in on the test, and so they can get an idea of some of the issues that we're going to be talking about. Because once again, this is where, first of all, we say that silence is not an option. But here we're going to have honest conversations. And sometimes those honest conversations are going to be very hard conversations. In addition to that, having hard conversations, we're going to provide practical solutions because here's what I believe. Here's what I know. Like if you only have the problem, you can only discuss the problem and you don't have a practical solution, then you're part of the problem. Let me say that again. If all you can do is discuss what problems there are and you don't have any practical solutions, then you're part of the problem. And so that's another reason why Amplify with Darrin L. Harris exists, because we're going to be talking and having these very hard conversations, these very truthful conversations, but we're going to be providing practical solutions so that we can solve our issues. And, these are everyday issues that all of us face, but we're going to be primarily focused on social justice. But, there are many other topics that we're going to delve into, we're going to talk about. And what I want to do is I want to hear back from you. I want to know what issues are important to you. What do you want to hear? Because once again, we are building a community. If you look at our most viewed video, it's almost at 100,000 likes. Not likes, 100,000 views. That's amazing to have a video that has been out for maybe about since October, November, less than 2 months. We have about 100,000, almost 100,000 views, and there are a lot of great conversations that are happening. And so, if you haven't seen that video, it's about the police, what to do when you're stopped by the police. Once again, it is a hard conversation, right? And we had to have an honest conversation about police brutality, specifically in African American communities, communities of color. But we also provide practical solutions. And so you have to listen to the whole video to get to where we have the practical solutions, because there are practical solutions. And in that video, if you haven't seen it already, you can go back and watch it. I talk about my own personal experience with law enforcement and how, even as a teenager, how it impacted me. I also share a very personal story about how my younger brother, Lionel Tyrone Harris, at 15 years old, coming from his first high school dance, was shot by what I consider to be a blue bullet. That's a law enforcement, a blue bullet in his head. A 15-year-old unarmed, shot in his head at 15 years old. And so, very, very tragic story. But I talk about that story. I talk about how it has impacted myself and how it's impacted my family. But by the way, I also wrote about that experience in my book. And in that chapter, it's called Losing Little. And so I wrote a book. The name of that book is called Living Life, Leaving Legacy. And so you can read about that story. And that's on Amazon right now, by the way. And so you can get that book there, and if you want to read that story. But I also have a free ebook. I have a free ebook that I want to offer to you, since you guys are on, whether you're on live or later, whenever you listen to this. I want you to go over to Amplify DLH, amplifydlh.com. That's our website. Amplify DLH, that's just my initials, DLH.com. And I have a free ebook. Yes, free, 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 free. People like free stuff. And that's one thing that I've been posting and letting people know. Come on, subscribe to my YouTube channel. It's free. It doesn't cost you anything. Just a little tap. All you got to do is tap, tap. Just one little tap. Just one little tap. That's all I need is a tap. Give me a tap and go ahead and subscribe. In fact, I want to encourage you to also encourage other people to subscribe. Now, while I'm on here, I said I was going to be on here maybe about 20 or 30 minutes. While I was testing, but since you guys showed up, I thought it would be a great idea to at least just have a little bit of conversation about some of the things that's going. So once again, if you haven't done it already, go ahead and subscribe to this YouTube channel. Subscribe to this YouTube channel. We're going to be talking about a lot of great things. And we want you to be a part of this community, because this is a community where we will have conversation. It's about conversation. Like, we got to get some value out of this. That is the reason why we are building this community. Once again, if you go to our most popular, most viewed video, which has close to 100,000 views, you're going to see a part of that conversation. And we have comments that have it varies, how people felt about what they heard in the video. And so some of those comments are appropriate, and some of those comments are inappropriate. And some of them, people see things differently. And one of the things that I love about being in America is that we have the freedom of speech. And so as long as, it is not anything that is harmful or hurtful to anyone else, I'm keeping the comments up. So that we can continue to have the conversation, and so this community can engage with each other as we struggle through some of these very tough questions. And once again, I'm going to do a different video, and on that different video that's going to be coming up very soon, probably sooner than later, I'm going to talk about 100 of the pressing social justice issues in America today. 100. Now, that's not all of them, but I want to give you my top 100 pressing issues, social justice issues in America. And so we're going to be talking about that. So we want you to stand by, stay tuned. Once again, my name is Darrin L. Harris, and this is Amplify Podcast with yours truly, Darrin L. Harris. And I want to thank each and every one of you for subscribing to our YouTube channel. And look, if you haven't subscribed yet and you're listening to me right now, go ahead, hit the subscribe. Look, it ain't gonna cost you nothing. It's absolutely 100% without a shadow of a doubt. It's free. Come on, somebody say free, free. You don't have to pay anything. You don't have to pay anything to subscribe to this YouTube channel. And that's what's exciting to me. And so I want you to be a part of this YouTube channel. Come on, hit that subscribe button. You can do. Okay, there we go. So thank you for joining this live. Once again, my name is Darrin L. Harris, and this is where the Amplify Podcast, Social Justice Podcast lives with Darrin L. Harris. This is where we're going to be. We're going to be right here on the Darrin L. Harris YouTube channel. And part of the reason why it's the Darrin L. Harris YouTube channel, so I want to try to explain some of that so you understand the difference between what the Amplified Social Justice Podcast is. It's a part of, it's not all of. As you go through the Darrin L. Harris YouTube channel, what you're going to notice and what you're going to see is that there's several different videos and sections. And I'm telling you, we have a lot of great information, and some of it is maybe about 6 years plus years old. But I believe the information is still relevant, and that's why it's still there. It still exists. I have the owner room speaker training there. So those of you who want to get into public speaking, that's there. But we're going to talk about that right here on this channel. So we're going to do that. We're going to talk about the owner room speaker training. And here's what I usually say, and I say this quite often. If you expect people to buy what you have to say, then you must own the room. 100% without a shadow of a doubt. And so I'm interested in helping those who are seeking to increase their influence so that they can build high performing, high impacting, and sustainable organizations that change their part of the world. And so don't feel bad if that's not you. You're going to find something on the Darrin L. Harris YouTube channel because once again, we're building a community. So yes, even those who are in the nonprofit sector, I have a whole lot of information that I'm just ready to give away. And so one of the things that you'll learn about me, whether you go to our website, which is Amplify DLH, once again, amplifydlh.com, you can learn a little bit about me there. You can also Google me and some things will come up. Yeah, Google me. Google me, and you can learn some things. But I am the former CEO of Louisiana and America's first and only statewide family support organization. And so I come with a little skill set. I can tell you a little bit about that. I'm also a Marine Corps veteran. So I can talk a little bit about that. So veterans, if you're listening to me and you're out there, yeah, we're going to have some veteran conversations because trust me, we're going to do that too. Once again, this is the Darrin L. Harris YouTube channel. Amplify Podcast is a part of the Darrin L. Harris YouTube channel. Okay, y'all, you get it. You get it. Yeah, you get it. So, yes, this is a channel. So, we're going to be having different shows and different subject matter. So, it's not just based upon one thing because, even though I can't address everybody, and I only can address and say what I know, and that's all I'm gonna talk about. If I don't know about it, I ain't gonna talk about it. But there may be times where we may have to bring experts in, and so that's why the podcast exists because I don't claim to know everything. In fact, I'm looking for you to add value to this channel, and so please utilize, of course, our website to get a message to me. I'm also on social media. Easy to find me on social media. I don't do too much of the DMing because I get all kind of stuff in the DM. Everybody slide in the DM. I don't want everybody sliding in my DM. Don't be sliding in my DM. Like I can't keep. wait a minute. See, that's the problem with being live. I can't clean this up. But yeah, don't let everybody slide in your DM. Come on here. It's a bot or a thought. Oh Lord. Well, I'm so grateful that y'all showed up for the Darrin L. Harris YouTube channel. Once again, Amplify is our podcast, but we have several other videos. But one of the most moving things, and we've been getting a lot of feedback on this lately, and so this might be helpful for those who are on a journey in their lives and you are trying to get to a place of peace. And I share there's a devotion on there. There's a 30-day devotional on there. So it comes with like this meditation area. But each day there's a devotion. And at the end of each devotion, I do reflections. And I posted some of those reflections there in the form of a podcast. And so you could hear it right there in YouTube. But we also utilize Buzzsprout, which is our distributor. And so you can catch our podcast on Apple Podcasts. You can catch it on Spotify. You can catch it on iHeart. I mean, we're saturated. We're in many different spaces. But most importantly, we are proud to be here as a YouTube partner. And so we're part of the YouTube partnership program. And so that's why we're talking and we're going to spend a lot of time here on YouTube because this is where we want to get some results. But in that devotion, I do these reflections and I was uh, at a point in my life where I was at a very difficult space in my life right after COVID, maybe 2020. And I found myself isolating. I found myself just getting away from the world. I don't even think I had my dog at that point. And I remember I was in such a low place, and we're gonna talk about that. So you want to stay tuned. Like I said, we're gonna have some honest conversations because we're here to help people and to give hope to people. But I remember being in that space, and I remember praying, and I had to ask God for help. Like it was that bad, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, physically. It was that bad. And I want to share that with you, but not today. But in my praying, and so you guys are first to hear about how those devotions came about. In my praying, I heard, the Spirit say to me, to read certain scriptures and then go to my kitchen table, hit the record button, and talk. No, nothing premeditated, nothing conjured up. I mean, like just nothing. But it was very clear. Here's a scripture. Pray, get to the table, hit record, and open your mouth. And I did that, and I did it for 30 days in July of that year. 30 days. And in those 30 days, I also was on a social media detox. If you've ever done one of those, we're going to talk about that too at some point on the Darrin L. Harris YouTube channel. Uh, yeah, they're really helpful. But during that time, that's the way I was functioning. And I just began to speak in some very powerful words that I needed to hear for me. The messages were for me, but I was instructed to record it. And even now, I go back and listen to these messages. And so I put them out there for you with the hopes that they would help you as they helped me. So that's out there. So go ahead, check it out when you get a chance. Now, all of these things are there for you. And then there's some other funny episodes that's called Come On Here Somebody. But I speak about real life situations and just where I was at that time in my life. And so one of the things I have decided to do is not to get rid of that content, not to get rid of that material. So that's what I want to say to you, content creators who might be listening to me right now, and you want to grow your YouTube channel, and don't get rid of, your content because you can repurpose that content at some point. At some point, you can repurpose it. So here's what I'm thinking about doing as we build our community, as we grow our community. I believe that it's going to be important for me to come on several times a week during the mornings just to have conversation, morning check-in, just to see how our community is doing. And so that's one of the things that's on our agenda. So we're going to have morning check-ins. I will let you know when they come up. We will make sure we're advertising that. So just watch all of the socials. And so we'll have morning check-ins just to check to see how our community is doing. But we'll also be doing these lives as well so that you can engage with the community and you can give thought on several different subjects, and we may talk about an issue that comes up in that day. And then we're going to be having pre-recorded podcasts. That's the Amplify Social Justice podcast. So that's going to be there as well. And those will be more produced, more polished. We won't be doing like live because I need to be censored and filtered. You don't want the FCC shutting me down or the YouTube police get me. So we want to make sure that, we're keeping it copacetic. So that's what we're going to be doing right here on the Darrin L. Harris YouTube channel. So those who are joining us, you have joined the Darrin L. Harris YouTube channel, and we have so much in store, so many things that we're working on in the process. And so if there are things that you want to happen for our community. So I'll be putting some polls out there as well. And I'm still engaging and filling out to see what works for our community. One of the things I know that's working because we have probably over 100,000 views on our most popular video, which talks about how to deal with the police. This is one of those conversations that we all need to have. Even if you're a police officer, and you listening to me, we need to have this conversation. And let me say this too, and I had to say this on my last podcast. I had to say it on another platform. I am not anti-police. You know, we are for safe communities. We are for safe communities. And so, those are some of the things that conversations that we had in our last video. So I want you to go and check it out. It's hot. It's hot. It's on fire. And read some of the comments too. Because remember, this is our community. You can see what people are saying. You got to gauge, who's in there, who's for, who's against, and I've had some defund folk show up too. Uh, and some people say what they had to say to me. So go ahead and engage in that community conversation, and we're going to be having a lot of those as well. Look, it don't hurt my feelings. It's not going to hurt my feelings. That's why we're here. We're here to have, once again, these challenging, these difficult conversations, but we're also here to provide practical solutions. Because once again, if you aren't helping give a solution, then you're part of the problem. And so I rarely, and usually if I respond to a comment that I see that they're being derogatory or if they, just being critical, I usually respond to them with asking them a very simple question. What is the solution? Because that's why we're here. Once again, we're here to have hard conversations, but we're seeking practical solutions. We're going to provide these practical solutions so that we can build better communities. That's what it's about. And so I'm glad that you joined us. Once again, my name is Darrin L. Harris, and this is the Darrin L. Harris YouTube channel. Yes, this is the Darrin L. Harris YouTube channel, but we're going to be talking about a whole lot of things. You guys just caught me doing a test because I'm testing a platform. I had to write some notes, but I said, let's go ahead and let's do a video anyway because we have so many so many people we're grateful for that have subscribed. And look, if you haven't done it already, why don't you do it right now? Right now. Look, stop right now and subscribe to the Darrin L. Harris YouTube channel. We're going to be talking about a whole lot of things. But before I go, because I always like to give a word of encouragement, even though, we're just testing out the platform. I always want to help people. I always want to leave people with something to help them in their lives. And the way I do that, I only can make suggestions. And so a lot of times in my videos and my talks, you'll hear me say, I'm just going to put this on your shoulder so you can keep it on your mind. So can I put something on your shoulder so you can keep it on your mind? Here's one of the things that I do. I do this quite often. I do it on a daily basis. Every day that I wake up, I have a normal routine. One of the first things I do after thanking God for another day is I think of ways to add value to my life. I start thinking about ways to add value to my life, but I don't stop there. After I think about ways in which I'm going to add value to my life, then I actually get up and I do things that will add value to my life. See, it's not enough just to think about doing things, but it's in the action. And so then I think about doing things and then I do things. But I don't stop there. Not only do I think about ways I can add value to my life, but I do things to add value to my life. And then I think about ways to add value to other people's lives. I think about ways to add value to other people's lives. And then after I think about ways in which I can add value to other people's lives, and usually it's via social media where I can give a word of encouragement, then I do something, right? I make a post, I do something to add value to the lives of others. And then I encourage others to add value to others. And that's how you add value to value. And so that's a normal routine for me. And so that's one of the things that we're going to do a lot. It's all about the value add. And so once again, what I do every day is I wake up after I pray. I'm thinking of ways to add value to myself. Not only am I thinking of ways to add in value to myself, but then I begin to do things that add value to my life because it all starts with me. And not only do I do things to add value to myself, but then I start to think about ways to add value to others. And then I do things to add value to others. And then I encourage others to add value to others. And that's what I want to leave you with. And that's what I want to encourage you with today. It all starts with you. That's why we're here. That's why the Darrin L. Harris YouTube channel exists. That's why the Amplified podcast with Darrin L. Harris exists, because it's all about adding value. We're here to add value. And the way in which we're going to add value is building a community. And I cannot do it without you. And so that's why I'm asking for your help and your support. And so if you haven't done it already and you've made it this far in the video, congratulations. Should I tell y'all about the gift? That's coming though. And so you're just going to have to stay tuned because we will be offering gifts, and you never know. Sometime gifts might come a little bit different, but you got to listen to the whole video and then you got to follow the instructions after that. So we're going to be doing a whole lot of things. So I can't tell you everything right now. Once again, this was a great test, and I want to thank each and every one of you who have tuned in, whether you're listening live or later. Once again, my name is Darrin L. Harris, and remember, I am your friend. Thank you for joining me on the Darrin L. Harris YouTube channel. And once again, if you haven't done it already, subscribe. Go ahead. It's free. It's free. It costs you nothing.